Welcome everyone to Aligning with Success. It is December 17, and this will be the last Aligning with Success for the year, because we have Christmas Eve the following and New Year's Eve the following Monday. So this is the last for 2018. Man, you know, when we started this year, it seemed like time was accelerating, but now in hindsight, I feel like we're going at warp speed. I'm a big fan of Star Trek. Most of you know that. They talk the language of warp speed, which is many times the speed of light. It sure feels like that. Boy, I tell you, things are definitely accelerating. Last week, we asked everyone to take stock of their business. Take a look at your business in hindsight from a very objective point of view. Put on your CEO's hat and consider what were your numbers? What were some real stats? In fact, you could just look at that you can correlate your activity level, your attendance at various functions, and your results with respect to the growth thing, the things that you monitor for growth, which one of the most obvious is your income. But there's more than that. There's the accumulation of members of your team, your organization, personally, frontline and downline, advancements in rank, etc. These are the kind of things, by the way, that are measured for determining who will qualify for incentives, specifically who will qualify for the Humans Being More awards. If you haven't seen what that takes, go to hbmawards.org and have a look at what the qualifiers are for the nominees for Platinum, Diamond, and Royal Diamond, because it gives you an indication of the kind of things that the company is looking at to measure in terms of the progress of your business. And of course, they make decisions based on the progress of our business or the lack thereof and make their modifications. So one of the things that we will see is a very slight modification in terms of incentives in 2019, but for the most part, the incentive program that was laid out for us in 2018, and I'm referring to that, the NICAN incentive program, that will be also mirrored in 2019. Most of the same conditions with a few changes. And this document is what I'm referring to that was printed, the incentive program. So there'll be some slight changes. And one of the things that I'm hoping we will see, and I believe we will, is a change in the early incentive to create a little bit of urgency, a sense of urgency, to get people, you know, right now, anybody can get started, but there's no urgency for them to begin building their business right away. And so Niken's taking a look at some of the things that we can put in place, or they can put in place, that will help us focus on some getting started initiatives, as in get started right away, like the Power Start bonus. That's going to be one of the ones that they're going to address. So look for information coming out as quickly as possible on the incentive program. I'll make sure that gets to print as quickly as possible so you can have copies in print starting early in the year. How many of you wish you had 2018 to do over again and qualify for the trip to Italy and Team Kaizen? Okay. What would you have done differently if you had 2018 to do over again? Let's use this opportunity to put on the table, for the benefit of others, what you may have noticed in your assessment of your business for 2018. And I hope you took this exercise to heart, because if you haven't done it yet, please do. There's really no point in repeating mistakes. While it's true we do make mistakes, what's important is that we learn from those mistakes so that we don't keep repeating them and they become the habit of our business and a condition of our business. So what would you do differently if you had 2018 to do differently, knowing the incentives that we've had, Team Kaizen being one of the qualifications, trip to Italy, and all the stuff in between? If you had 2018 to do over again, what would be your advice to yourself in hindsight? what would you be saying to that version of you that is waking up on January 2nd with a whole new year in front of them, Niken having announced the incentive program, you're looking back on the previous year saying, okay, that was 2017, that's come and gone, this is 2018, this is going to be different. Now, we're at the end of 2018, what would you be advising yourself in hindsight? Anyone?
I would not wait for things to have all the ducks lined up or in a row, because we had lots of things happening at the beginning of 2018, and I can say probably for myself, I was waiting for that to be in place so it looks perfect to the new person coming in and stuff like that. So just not to be thinking about anything like that, and just going forward with the new incentive program that's out there, and just go.
So don't wait until it's perfect.
Yeah, because remember in April, there was those few tweaks that were happening, and just the little things, and then you're waiting, or the new website was going to be ready, and then it was delayed and delayed. You know, just all of those sorts of things. You know, I know that was my personal.
Okay. Good advice. I'm sure most people are feeling the same way. They were waiting on something. Anyone else? What would you be telling yourself if you had January 2nd, 2018 to do over again? Yes, Mike.
I would work on being more consistent. And just doing activity. I seem to be like Cheryl here, basically wanting to get everything perfect, and I need to just do like five calls, 5 texts, 5 emails a day, and not worry about everything else. Just be consistent and then consistently follow up.
So your DMO, your daily method of operation, would have been something that you would have been more on the ball with. Can you define, maybe you mentioned something, you said 5 calls, 5 emails. What would you consider a good DMO in hindsight?
The biggest thing is consistency and better follow up, and accountability would be another good thing.
Okay. Consistency and follow up and accountability. Now, I'm trying to give you some metric for that. What would you think is a daily metric that's something that would be important for you in hindsight? Is that 1 call a day, 2 calls a day, 3 calls a day? We're talking about, and let's be more specific, new people versus follow-up.
I would definitely think I'd have to call at least 5 people a day, and that's like a minimum. But I need to follow up with people. The first thing I want to do is get them information, get the information in front of them, and then get the products on them, and then find out their interest in where they want to go. But also want to have a vision that feeds that.
Okay, good. That's good. Now that you're giving yourself your instructions, we can expect in 2019 that you'll put together, and by the way, what I recommend is you put together some type of an activity chart or a daily manager. Most people have some type of a daily thing. You can even use your smartphone to do your daily reminders, but there should be some way that you're tracking your performance, your own activity, so that you can see, did I complete today's mission? If if you're the CEO of the business, then you get to hire and fire the staff. Well, you're the first person you get to hire and fire. So you got to decide if you're going to be hired or fired on a weekly basis. So you check out your performance and see if you're measuring up. And the reason why we even bother with that is, first of all, it's a little bit fun if you make it a game. But there's no question about it. Every single thing you will ever read about success, especially when it comes to owning your own business, is what are you doing every day? What's your DMO? That's why they call it a DMO. They call it short form, daily method of operation. What's your DMO that you're willing to hold yourself accountable to? Because that will decide what the outcome is in the long run. It's that penny doubling principle. If we double the penny every day, then we're going to create that exponential growth. But if we miss a few days, then it's almost like starting over again. So you don't want to do that. You want to have that compounding working for you, which means get serious about what a DMO should look like and do it. And nobody's telling you what it should be. I'm suggesting you ask yourself, you decide yourself and see what is a behavior that you would think is consistent with the kind of business you want to be the owner of. Anyone else? This January 2nd, 2018 all over again. You've now had the benefit of hindsight to look back over your business or instructions from last week. What would you instruct yourself if you had 2018 to do over again? Yes, Madeline.
I liked Nikki's answer on Saturday because that's what I've thought of I was going to do for the past several years. Really focus on sorting until you find those people that are ready now and ready in that they have the time, the money, the resources to run with me. And I improved in many areas. I have 4 teams that have gone to humans being more into big events and whatever, and they're moving along, but have some financial issues, time issues, working different shifts, childcare issues. The part-time gig, Mike, a lot of people are really doing that part-time gig. So really finding, and these people are interested in working. So PGV was better, met all of those minimum 3,000 a month or whatever. But a lot of that productivity was my own personal group sponsoring. But I didn't keep going until I found those that were truly ready to go and run with their own batteries. And I have some of those on that chicken list, and I've spent a lot of time still hosting the events, putting on the HBM, doing the teaching every Thursday night. So doing a lot of that, which is all the warm fuzzies that makes me feel good. But I really realized that having this 2 weeks off post-op and a little time to think, and then hearing her on Saturday, that was a real aha for me, because that's exactly how I'm feeling at the end of the year. I missed last week, and quite frankly, if you put a challenging week, if you did put the replay out, I didn't watch it, so I didn't know you were going to ask that question tonight. But it's what I've been thinking about anyway, knowing that it was the end of the year. So when I've won the trips before, and I've won a lot of them, it was knowing what those were ahead of time, setting it all up, having the plan for the year, and getting it done early. Just checking those things off early, doing those 21 clubs and whatever incentives it was to make it happen. So, and for me, the follow-up, I can procrastinate on that follow-up. And I'm telling others, what they need to do. So what I really realized, I suppose, is I need to show my back that I'm doing that. And as I do more of that, which has happened with the sponsoring that I've done, others are moving along. But that commitment to really to get to the level that we need to be at, to be committed to platinum as the first level of leadership, not silver as the first level of leadership, really does mean a business investment. And it's obvious attending these big events and winning the awards is what moves people to a different level. And those that came to Toronto and have been to the bigger events, they see that. And then I think, oh my God, another year of what we're doing now, something has to happen a little bit faster. So I know I need to add more to my first level team.
Okay, let me pause you for a second, because what Nikki referenced to was her meeting with, spending time with Royal Diamonds, specifically the French Royal Diamond, Marie, from France. And she made the distinction between partner and consultant.
Yes.
She was saying it was an aha for her, which is kind of surprising for a platinum to have become only now aware that there is a distinction between a consultant and a partner. And the zigzag presentation that I do, the last presentation, the last conversation is the conversation that answers the what question. So we've got the why, the how, and the what it takes to succeed. And it's designed by nature to move a person from being a consultant to being a partner, because it explains what the compensation plan is, what the business plan is, why there is a need for an investment of time, money, and contacts prompting the consultant to step in to the role of partner, which is to make that initial investment of time, money, and contacts so that they can go ahead and execute a business launch, a proper launch. So that last conversation is a very specific conversation and is the conversation that will help you sort, that's another word you used, help you sort between consultants and partners. And so if you're not having that conversation, or you don't have a formal presentation that gets into, and if you recall when I did my training on it, I said there's only a few tools that I use when I'm getting into that presentation. Now I will add this tool to the equation, but I have the incentive program, which has in the front added to it the comp plan. And this is a booklet I want them to take home. I want this in print. This is why I have them printed. And I have this for people to know the difference between being a consultant and being a partner. This is part of that last conversation. We now have this business plan, which is a sort of a schematic of what it takes to build our business, which is step number 2 is the preparation of the launch. So, and then there's the actual launch. Step number 1 is activation. So it gets into the details of that. So that's a tool. The $1 million list is the other tool that I use in this presentation. And everything and anything that helps. Now we would use the pack flyer. I would add that to the tool, because I want them to see what it takes to launch their business. And why, for instance, we have a contact list. Why do we have a $1 million list? Where's that going to go? The flip side of the $1 million list, if you recall, has the schematic of teach 3 to reach 3 plus the customers. So it's a conversation that says, here's how we get started. Here's why we do what we do to get started, because our goal is to help you launch this business and create a team. From this team will come your volume. From this team will come your 3 partners from this launch, etc. So that last conversation is a follow-up conversation that should happen even if the person's already registered. If it hasn't happened either before them registering or after them registering, then what you have is consultants. You don't have partners. And if you were to spend more time sorting, then you would quickly identify who's a partner worthy of the investment of your time and energy, and who's a consultant who still needs some degree of follow-up, because as far as I'm concerned, they're a prospect for their business. They're not necessarily a partner for the business yet. They're just a prospect for being a partner. So when we start to get defined understanding of who we should be investing our time and energy in, we will know very quickly what the scoreboard looks like for ourselves and where we need to address or direct our attention. But I think it's really important to realize that you are sorting. You're not creating, you're sorting. They create their own success story. You're just assisting them, sorting to figure out who to work with. A partner is one who identifies themselves because they take the steps necessary to launch their business, beginning with the preparation to launch their business, time, money, and contacts. And the other point that you made, and I would make that point with respect to partners, is plan for the year. So what we have right now is we have a new year emerging. We're going to have a new incentive program. But you already know that there are going to be big events. Madeline, you mentioned big events really inspire people to a much bigger commitment. In other words, big events turn consultants into partners and turn silvers into would-be golds and golds into would-be platinums and platinums into would-be diamonds and diamonds into would-be royal diamonds. Those big events are designed to inspire the next level of achievement in NICAN, which is why we give recognition to the ranks. So if big events do that, then part of your plan for 2019, or in hindsight, if you're looking at 2018, what would you have added to your calendar for the 2018 calendar? Would the January event in Salt Lake have been on it? Would the I can't remember if it was April. No, I think Ben's came in July because of the May event. Would that event been on your calendar? Would Toronto have been on your calendar? Especially in hindsight, looking back, I'm pretty sure most of you who were in Toronto would know that would have been definitely one to have your people attend. And then the subsequent San Antonio, how would you have played that one? And then we've got that calendar somewhat repeating itself in 2019. So in hindsight, what would you have done different? Take stock of this, because you have the benefit now to say, okay, I have the benefit of hindsight, but if I don't apply the benefit, I'm not gaining any altitude. I'm learning nothing from this experience. So we want to definitely look at what we would have done differently in 2018 and make sure we do it in 2019. And let's not wait till the middle of 2019 to discuss it. It should be right on the books right now. You should be planning right now for your 2019 and know that those things that you would have done differently are the first things that you put in your calendar. Those are the first things you want to put in your calendar for 2019. The things that you clearly identify that you would have done differently in terms of the big ticket items, the big rocks, and then break it right down to those dailies. What should I have done? What would I have done with the benefit of hindsight that I should do in 2019 in terms of daily? Anyone else? So it's January 2nd, 2018 right now. You now have the benefit of 2018 as hindsight. Tell us what you would have done differently through 2018. Anyone? Elaine, I see you finger up. Go ahead.
So I'm a newbie on the block, and I've been in the business for coming up to 5 months, and I feel that those 5 months have been an orientation for me. In other words, I've just been feeling my way through with the help of excellent guidance, and mentoring, of course. But I really, really am pumped. And I'm starting to plan and forecast of how I'm going to run the next year. Because I feel that what I've learned and the insights that I've gained, I just want to put them into practice. I've stumbled, I've fallen, and life has gotten in the way. I've had all kinds of family things happen, but that's what happens. You just got to pick up where you left off and proceed. So I'm very excited about the upcoming year, and I don't know. That's all I have to say for now. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you, Elaine. Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Mike?
Yes, Barb.
I had a 5-month interruption this past year in dealing with that 53-foot trailer, which was an all-day, everyday process. And trying to continue with some consistency with my Nikken business in the evenings after doing that other stuff all day long. I achieved it some evenings, I missed out on other evenings, and I didn't take advantage of utilizing the ABCs as often as I should have. I didn't reach out to some of our other leaders to do ABCs, and I realized that was a very important missing link to me moving forward faster, because you're such a busy person. I utilized you on a few occasions, but you were always my first consideration, and I didn't go beyond utilizing other leaders out there who were more than willing to help, more than willing to collaborate. So I need to utilize that talent more often.
So you could say then, well, that's really good commentary, by the way, because obviously the ABCs are what gets the business done. We've all learned that ABC is the key to sponsoring. It's the key to validating and creating the credibility and validation of the products and the business. So to have a broader team of A's, to have a better resource of A's, a larger resource of A's, will make, first of all, the probability of your ABC call more convenient, because if one A is not available, the other one may be, rather than having to reschedule everybody all the time. So there's having a repertoire of A's. So as a protocol, as a what to do in 2019, maybe one of the things you want to do is set a goal for every week to add at least one new A, so that you have, by the end of 52 weeks, you'll have 52 A's on your list of A's for ABCs, and you'll get to know them well enough to know what their strengths are and when you might want to utilize that particular A. So you're building in 2019 a catalog, a resource of sort of a board of directors, if you will, of A's that can assist you in building your downline, building your team. So that's a huge benefit to have that. And I'll tell you, the one of the highest reasons, one of the highest casualties of our business is isolation. Isolation is probably the thing that kills everybody in the business. And people tend to isolate when they are fearful or doubtful or have had something happen that they don't know how to manage, and they feel embarrassed. So they isolate. And so that's death in this business. But if you have a support team, a strong network of support, then you're not alone. You'll never feel alone because you have this rapport with so many people. This becomes family to you. So one of your goals in creating strength, it's kind of like if I went to the bank, they want to know, what are my assets? If I was looking for a loan, the bank wants to know what are my assets. They tend to want to loan money to people who don't actually need it. So because they have all these assets. So your assets in A are your A's. Those are huge assets, and you want to see them as that. So where do you meet these people? Where will you develop some kind of relationship and rapport with these people? Again, we go back to things like the events. Now, these events are not limited to the big events in person. You can also go to online events. Obviously, we start with our upline. So if you do not know who your upline is, you should. And don't go just straight to the person who is most highest profile. You should know in succession who the people are in your upline who are in the business and active, because they are earning a percentage from the business that you create. And so make a phone call, get to know who they are. I think that's really, really important information. Thank you for that, Barb.
I think something else that I want to add too, Mike, is the fact that our company, NECAN in general, and everybody that's involved with NECAN, has a collaborative attitude, one with the other, not a competitive attitude. So we can reach out to somebody who is not going to necessarily benefit from our business. But then on the flip side, there might come a time where we might have an expertise that they would want to tap into that would help them with their business. And it doesn't matter what level they're at, whether they're Royal Diamond or whether they're a newbie, we can all reach out one to another. And I think I have to implement that tool more often.
As I would say, probably everybody on this call and everybody listening to this call.
Yeah.
It is the most underutilized thing. And I think everybody would agree. And yet at the same time, it's the very thing that can accelerate your business and your success. So it's kind of an oxymoron, but there you have it. Good information. Anyone else would like to add? I see Suzanne. Jump in, Suzanne. Let me recap for everybody. It is January 2nd, 2018. We have now the benefit of 2018 as hindsight. If we had 2018 to do over again, what would you be instructing yourself?
And I will do two things, but to build on Barb's comment, for me, by doing the events on Tuesday night, I had the benefit of all the consultants that would join in. So whenever I had guests on, I had wonderful A's. And 9 times out of 10, I would get off the call with people, and I would be on the call with my guest and be able to get them started one way or another. So it does work when we all work together. So that's a great way to look at it, adding a new A every week, which I think is a fabulous idea. Two things I would do differently. One is I would have conversations with family, team, and colleagues right at the beginning of the year to share what my goals and what my 2018 business vision would be, rather than waiting towards the end of the year, perhaps, to be asking for that help early on.
Okay,
And
good.
the second thing would be to make a real focus on connecting with my customer base on a regular basis, to focus on auto ship. And so the PGV totals are nothing that you ever have to even think of, and able to teach that to the new people on your team.
So when you say contact with your customer base on a regular basis, what do you have in mind?
Whether it's, I think personal calls is probably the best way, rather than the text or the email. The broadcast email just doesn't make that connection for so many people. So I think it's that personal connection, whether you can see them face to face, great. You can drop them a note, but calling them as well. So that would be my focus.
Mike, I'd like to add something to that. I've been evaluating my whole business, and the people that are those wholesale customers that have been around for a while, the inactive silvers, and inactive as far as recruiting and sponsoring. The people that have full wellness homes that have been on auto ship for 20 years to 10 years, they get everything new. You know, they will order what's new. That concept of there's a beginning and no end, they want everything. They're a voracious customer. So what I've targeted are those, and knowing that those are my core, not 500, more than 500. And that kind of a consultant is okay to have in your organization, and to teach that. Now, other customers, I think we've gotten pretty good at all the different ways that you can find customers, and the company seems to be getting better at sending them out, since referring them out to people that have active customers. So, you know, I really want to switch. and for the one that had, it's Elaine with 5 months, go for it. You know? Just really go for looking for those until you really find those 3 partners that are very business minded, and everybody else is a good customer. Be happy with them, you know, keep a way of keeping track of them. But I really like that other card that I like using is, you know, here's the wellness home, and here's a beginning and no end, and everybody needs to be that, wherever you are, whether you're a customer or whether you're a small franchise or whatever. That has helped me differentiate, and that's going to be a part of my 2-part strategy on how much time to spend where.
Good. In fact, you know, interesting. So what you're saying is you're identifying your wholesale customers as their long-term wellness home consumers.
Yeah.
And so we have retail customers, which essentially are consultants, but
yeah.
I like the idea of branding them wholesale customers more so than just consultants, because we don't know where they stand as a partner yet, but we do know if we see them as a wholesale customer, we see them as a customer first and foremost, which means our conversations are going to be helping them expand their knowledge and understanding of the wellness home. So I'm going to make a suggestion about this, the idea of customer-based contact, personal calls, auto ship, wholesale customer versus retail customer, just the notion of customers in general. Make a point, and this is a training I used to teach. It's part of a system that I call the Wellness Track, is at least once a month, you reach out to that grouping and you have something that you're going to share with them in terms of value added information. Now, one of the things that we have to offer, obviously, today is information about Canco Ground because it's a new item. And none of our customers know about it. And whatever they do know, it's probably minimal. But I would argue that our customers know very little about most of the products. So you could go back and, for instance, share some insights about jade greenzymes. So what I would do if I were you, and I'm going to give you a website, it's a secret. Don't even just do it. Just go straight to this page. Go to thewellnessnetwork.com and click on a thing called Wellness Track, or WT, I don't even know how I call it, the Wellness Track system. Click on that and then click on Enter the Wellness Track. Eventually you're going to get to the Wellness Track. Click on New Partner and then click on the toolbox for the new partner and start sniffing around there. But what you're looking for, in fact, you might even have to go into the toolbox there. Just look for product knowledge. Anything that says product knowledge, click on that. And what you're going to see is about 10 or 15 different presentations. Some of them are way dated. Some of them are totally relevant. They're in the form of a PowerPoint and a PDF. But I'm thinking about the jade greenzymes because there's a really good presentation on the jade greenzymes about some of the things that I learned about jade greenzymes. The equivalent of 2 teaspoons of jade greenzymes is one of the slides. What's in 2 teaspoons of jade greenzymes the equivalent of? And when you read that list, you're going to be so blown away, you're not going to believe how good this stuff is for you. But we don't circulate that information because we're not in the habit of that. So I'm going to suggest that you go there and you'll see some stuff on infrared, you'll see some stuff on jade greens, you'll see some stuff that you might want to pull from and just have 1 or 2 pages per month that you could share some insights with your customer base, and which is your wholesale customers, your retail customers, any new customers, about a particular line of Nikken products or category or a particular item, just one item. Because when you go back, it's number one, it's an opportunity to talk with them, and you're going back with something of value. It's not you're going back with handout or hat out saying, hey, why don't you order something else? You're going back to offer them something of interest, something of value, because you're identifying your role in that relationship as a provider, a solutions provider. So I just like the idea that you can go back armed with some information that you may find interesting yourself. And if you did that once a month for the next 12 months, you'd have at least 12 pages of information about Nikken products, 1 per category or 1 per product. That's really valuable that you could then cycle again next year for all your new customers and new wholesale and so forth. So what you now have is an opportunity to have a dialogue on an ongoing basis. Once a month is not a lot. You just pick the day or the couple of days of the month that you're going to do that one exercise, which is to upload or download some new insights, new information for your retail customers, for your customers. And that'll create what I believe is dialogue. And who knows what those customers will lead you to. Probably other customers and potentially even new prospects. And I think that is a valuable thing to be able to go back to them with regularity because you have a plan. You have a business plan for customers, and that plan is to reach out once a month with something of interest regarding any one of the Nikken products or product lines. So that would be what I would suggest as a habit that you would form and then teach. Now, if you look at our business plan is teach 3 to reach 3. But each of these 3 have customers. And if you don't have customers, you have a pyramid. So we're talking about having franchisees which have customers, but if you don't have ongoing steady volume from those customers, you have a wholesale buyers club. Again, the optics of that don't look very good. If you have real customers, how are you servicing those customers? the question then becomes, how can I do something that's easy to do and duplicatable so that my partners will do the same, so that they too will have a robust volume coming in just simply from customers? Well, how about we make a habit of reaching out to our customers once a month with something interesting to give them added insight as to why the Nikan products and the wellness home make sense. And so that'll give you opportunity to have follow-up conversations, probably have more products sold, probably have some referrals as well. And if Nikan sweetens the pie every now and then with some type of an incentive, again, you'll have something to talk about because you're already in the habit now of contacting them. So,
Mike, something I started doing after convention when I had that other albatross gone was I found a list of my downline for a number of years ago, and I started systematically calling all the people on the downline. Now, I haven't made it through the entire list yet, but from those calls, several have been ordering consistently each month since, and they also ordered the new product. So I'm going to continue to do that until I've contacted every one of my former downline that were inactive. Some of them, I mean, they haven't renewed or anything, but I had 3 renewals out of 12 people that I called. They reactivated.
wow.
They're not setting the world on fire yet, but they renewed their consultancy, and they have been in contact and asking questions. So that's another way to generate more interest from people that already know the efficacy of the products,
Yep.
but are behind the times on our new acquisition.
Yeah, excellent. Excellent. We got time for maybe one more. Anyone else want to jump in? It's January 2nd, 2018. You now have the benefit of the entire year in hindsight. What would you be telling yourself if you had 2018 to live over again?
Mike, it's Barb Satterwhite.
Yes, Barb.
I want to dovetail onto the customer thing. Remember when you and Marty did the mentoring series, and
Yes.
talked about creating your 5 best customers and
Yes.
keeping in contact. And I've always remembered that. And I'll have to give you an example. There's one customer that I meet at least every quarter, if not every month, for lunch. She loves meeting with me. And every time we meet, there's a new order. She's delightful, and I know I'll get in front of more people, but I love contacting her. And then the second customer, what I went over today after she got her Kinko ground, is a customer that, again, I go out over and above with her, and she says, do you do this with all your customers? And I don't understand, but she's delightful. And again, every time I help her with something, she orders. And so I like that idea of focusing on your 5 best customers. I mean, it's overwhelming. We have a customer list in Nikan and all of that, and I send out some broadcast emails, but don't typically get responses back. But I haven't done the focused education you're talking about. So that is something I think worthwhile. But I love this personal contacting because I care about them and just love being with them, and they like being with me. So it's an easy transition to mention anything that's going on, like a new grounding pad or whatever. So I like that whole concept that Marty talked about. And what did he call it? Your 5?
It was my 5 something. I've got the document somewhere.
Yeah.
My 5 and I.
My
My 5
five
and I.
Yeah.
My 5.
And I.
Oh, my 5 and I. That's right. My 5 and I. Yeah. Well, so the thing is, this is our business model. See, if you want to be able to sell the franchise, you have to prove the franchise. You have to have what's called proof of concept. And if you can't show somebody that you have your 5, or at least a few of them with some regularity that you've accumulated, then it's hard to prove that the franchise works, and it's hard to prove, therefore, that the extrapolation will be real. But if you can prove it by showing them what's the volume that you produce consistently from your customers, especially if it's only 5 key customers, that you have to put that extra effort in. But as you said, Barb, it's not have to. I like to. I want to. It's something I enjoy doing. That's a good franchise to sell. because you're proving that the franchise works. You know, so I think it's important not to miss this point, because the pendulum tends to swing in NECAN. We tend to go real retail heavy and then we forget to recruit. And then go real recruiting heavy and then we forget retail. It's always been, and should have always been, a balance, both oars in the water. You need a business plan for your 500 CV. They say 500 points, but I don't consider it should be points. I think it should be CV. 500 CV, because if you look at the concentric rings model that we use, it's based on 500 CV, not 500 PV, because that's what we get paid on in terms of our 6% on CV. So to make the model predictable, to make the income predictable, base it on CV. Well, 500 CV or 100 CV per customer is about $200 in consumption on a monthly basis, which I believe, if the person is into a wellness home, is very conservative. And that doesn't take into account spikes, which will occur when they purchase something new or when they go Christmas shopping. By the way, another thing that your 5 would do is they would shop for Christmas with you if you had a Christmas offer. And by the way, here's another thing. Don't wait for NECAN to come up with an offer. This is your business. You can offer whatever you want. You can offer freebies. You can offer rebates. You can offer, it's your business. And if these are your 5 favorite customers, or the ones that you are going to treat with some exception, then make it exceptional. Make the experience exceptional. So it's all part of verifying, validating that your business model works. And when you have a business that's producing consistently volume from customers, how easy is it to tell a person who asks you, well, who does the selling? Well, let me show you. This is what our business model is based on, and I'm doing just that. And so when you look at the concentric circle chart, it's you know, I think I presented that chart in Salt Lake last year, and Dr. Gary Lindner was in the presentation, and he heard me say, it was either there or it was either in Salt Lake or it was in San Francisco, but he heard me say, how many of you want to make $40,000 a month? Maybe even said 50,000 a month. I said, well, if you can make 500, you can make 50,000. What do you mean? Let me show you. And then I showed the concentric circles. Why? Because no one person is doing any more than any other person, but every one person is committed to doing those 500, earning that $500. So if you're earning 500 and you teach 3 to do the same, then you help them teach 3 to do the same, you help them teach 3 to do the same, et cetera, that thing extrapolates out to $40,000, $50,000 a month with consistency. Well, how do you earn that $500 a month? You still have to get the first piece of this correct. Otherwise, you're teaching a theory. You have to have customers. And that's where the proof of concept comes in. If I can show customers with some regularity producing consistent volume, I now have something to teach 3 people. And they can duplicate, and so on and so forth. So there's a confidence and an integrity in a business that has customers that produce some consistency of volume. Just ask any business that's, you know, multi-billion-dollar status, you'll know that they have regular customers. So with that, let me see. Yeah, we're going to wrap up. So let me just recap for everybody. So we're talking about, we have 2018 in our hindsight, but if we had 2018 to live over again, knowing now what we did and what we could have done and what maybe we should have done, here are some of the notes. Don't wait until it's perfect. Have more consistency of activity, especially every day and especially with follow-up. Hold yourself accountable to that. An example would be 5 contacts per day. 5 contacts per day is a reasonable expectation for a business. Think about it. It's a business. Focus on sorting. Focus on sorting. Your partners will reveal themselves to you. They're the ones who are going to invest time, money, and contacts because they've had the full meal deal. You've presented all of the information, which includes conversation number 3, which is the what conversation. What does it take to succeed? and you're going to sit down and show them what it takes to succeed. And they will either follow through, and start working in that direction or not. So partners are people who take action with respect to a business plan, and everybody else is really a wholesale customer. Plan for the year and get it done early. So you should be now, obviously, wrapping up 2018, but looking towards 2019 with the benefit of this hindsight and with some eagerness to go into 2019 so you can put your plan together. That plan will include things that you know you would have included in your calendar had you had the benefit of hindsight, which you now have. So what big events do you need to have in your calendar starting January 2nd? They should be in your calendar already starting January 2nd. So you know it's not a question of should you or shouldn't you attend. It's in the calendar. You know that's part of your business plan. Your mind will switch away from should you or shouldn't you to how can I? Your subconscious mind will go to work and try and solve the problem that is in the calendar. How can I do that? How can I make that happen? And then who can I make that happen with? So eliminate the should I, shouldn't I question by January 2nd. Start putting it all on paper so that there's no question. Your mind can focus on the solution rather than the question. It's the hesitation. That's what's slowing everybody down and keeping everybody at bay. Make the decision, make the commitment. The mind switches then immediately to solve. Utilizing ABCs. Get help from a broader team of A's. Collaboration is the spirit of NECAN. Everybody helps everybody. It's no longer a protocol of upline, downline. It's a rare thing in our business and in business in general. Conversations with family, teammates, colleagues about your goals, asking them for help right away. You're going into the holiday season right now. You're going to be meeting with people. Tell them what your plans are. Tell them you have big plans for 2019 and you could really use their help and their support. Let them know. Set it up. Set yourself up. Set them up for higher expectations. I know I told my family at dinner, I expect to make $10 million in the next 5 years. Who wants to help? Well, that got somebody's attention. Conversations. All right. And then customer base, personal phone calls, regular contact. Auto ship becomes a natural consequence of that. But more than that, you have contact on a monthly basis with your key 5 people, bringing them something of value, something of extra value. So be on the hunt, be on the look for something about our products. Don't look at just the new products. Every product is a new product for somebody who doesn't know anything about it. Even though this product may have been in our catalog for 15 years, if it's new to somebody, it's new. So what can you give them that will help them understand the value of it? You know, the first product that NECAN launched in this company is the equivalent of the M steps. M steps, believe it or not, M steps, not mag strides. M strides. It's M steps, the bumps, because reflexology is a part of that. That's on the short list right now, I'm told. I want to get it off the short list, guys. That's a main product, and it's got to be a main product forever. So how do we do that? We need to tell people about it. That's why I posted that video that was done a couple of years back. Did you see that video? The mag step test. Vance Rogers is leaning on somebody. Go to my Facebook page and share it.
It's a great video.
It's an awesome video. In less than a minute's time, he's got person's attention. And my comment is, it's so much easier to demonstrate than to sell a product. You don't have to sell a product that demonstrates. So that's a real attention-getting line. So use it, flip it, forward it. Let's get that thing to go viral. It's a cool demonstration. Let's make M steps a hot commodity in 2019, just like it was in 1975.
Mike, in relation to the calendar, we're going to continue with every third Saturday, hour A, and the Thursday.
We have to make some announcements about all that. So one of the things that Ben and I, and now Susan Carver, are talking about as well, is to add some level of accountability in our business. And so what we want to do is we want to create calls that are specifically targeted to people who are executing goals for the month with respect to the incentive program. So they won't be generalized goals. They'll be achievements with respect to our incentive program. We need to put those incentives on the scoreboard so that we have proof of concept. We need to showcase people who have hit the power start. We need to showcase people who are doing Entrepreneurs Club, etc. So we want to have calls that are targeting those people who have put their hand up and say, that's what I'm going for. So our business plan is essentially the incentive plan and achieving that. And I think it's important that we help people do that with a less motivating experience and a more focused experience. I know when I'm working one-on-one with somebody, it's less general and much more specific where the content is concerned. And that's what these guys need. They need the help to be very specific content. I've been in touch with Dave Rolfe. That'll probably include some collaboration with him as we are moving toward a collaborative approach to building the business, the best practices.
I would suggest also Igor Grundle. He was the guest on last Thursday night, and he expressed the same opinion, I guess, too.
Yeah, that's exactly a good point to make. So, so look for those kind of announcements early in January, if not sooner, as we hunker down and figure out how we want to approach 2019 different than 2018, because we're doing the same thing. We're looking at what did we do in 2018 to support our business, and in hindsight, what would we do different? So we're doing the same thing. We're evaluating. So
the calendar on Thursday nights and whatever you'll be coming out with.
I will host this call, Aligning with Success. I will continue hosting this call because this is what I consider my universal access call. This is a call in principle where anyone can connect with me on a regular basis, and I'll try and keep the content as I have been relevant to the time. But those laser focused calls where they're all about achieving an incentive will be holding daily activities, accountability on daily and weekly activities. Those are the kind of things that need to happen for somebody who's shooting for a goal. And then we'll also obviously make ourselves available as A's to that group as a first priority. So if you've got new people and you want them personally coached and mentored or have personal connections and access to the Royal Diamonds, then this is what you want. You want them to put their hand up and get them registered on what I call the launch pad for any one of these incentives. So the incentive call will be specific to the incentive.
And the Thursday call, there's a 11 a.m. and the 7 p.m. one, the opportunity call.
Oh, those opportunity calls, I'm not hosting, so it's up to the hosts to decide that they're going to keep doing them. And that's what they've been doing. So hosts of individual calls decide on how those calls are going to go, essentially. And I can't speak for them. So I'm hoping that they will let us know sooner than later so we can publish an agenda. But 2019, folks, as I've mentioned before, is really all about getting the job done. We don't need any more preparation. We really don't, unless it's preparation H, because we really don't need anything else. Oh, we got to get up off our butts. Well, folks, this is the last call for the year for the Aligning with Success. And I just want to say thank you to all of you who have been consistently contributing to this call for the benefit of all. The recordings are there. I guess there's like 69 of them, I think, in the hopper right now. A lot of interesting content, a lot of good content. And I want to wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas, happy holiday season with your friends and your family. And you know, let's make this, let's go out with a bang in 2018 and lead off that momentum into 2019. So it's not a dead stop and a dead start in 2019. It's like we're cruising in. And by the way, just an FYI, let's see, it's the 17th. In 2 days, I'll be celebrating my 28th anniversary in Niken. So it's a good time of the year as far as I'm concerned for signing people up in Niken. I signed up in Niken in December.
Wow. Thank you, Mike.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful holiday, everyone. See you soon.
You too.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Be safe, be happy, be motivated,
All right,
bold
cheers.
and bodacious.
Woo!